Welcome to another edition of the WinStar Roundtable, kind of changing it up here a little bit this morning. I'm Jesse Ullery from Fasig-Tipton, pleased to be joined by Elliot Walden from WinStar and Dan Pride from Godolphin as we come to you to talk about two fills this morning, and we want to talk about the parallels between hard spun and two fills. There are a lot of them to go through: brilliance, consistency, durability among the two. And Dan, I want to start with you. When you guys were recruiting hard spun, what was it that led you to him, and what appealed most about hard spun as a racehorse?
Hard spun, the class of '04, foals of '04 is still legendary.
Yeah.
And that year, I don't think we really appreciated how good a group it was. Now looking back, it's an all-timer.
Right.
So Godolphin, at that time Darley, we were in the asset accumulation mode. We were buying stuff.
Street sense.
Street sense.
Any given Saturday.
Oh, Elliot knows all about any given Saturday. But hard spun, he's got 12 grade one winners, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
He's got 4 sons at stud in Kentucky,
Yeah.
which is even, at his profile, I'm very biased. I think at 25,000, he is the best value in Kentucky for a proven horse because of what his resume is. And he's, turning 21. He's getting older, which plays into people's decision making. But you talk about consistency. He's had good horses all the way through.
Every year.
And that's the thing. Now he's, as far as a broodmare sire, he's got good magic out there. So, what he can bring for the price, I just don't think you have other options.
Yeah.
You're going to have to spend a lot more money to get the same opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
For a proven sire.
Yeah. What is their ceiling? Like, what have they shown they can get? He gets champions. He's got 4 sons at stud.
Well, we obviously have tremendous respect for hard spun. Being a son of Danzig, he is a horse that is a phenomenal stallion in a lot of ways because his percentage of graded stakes winners, and so we've always been looking for one that would work. And Two Fills was the one that really we identified with because, one, their derbies were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them cut fast fractions.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them hung in, just like you said. You look at Hardspun's derby, and he did all the heavy lifting just like Two Fills did in the early part of the race, and that's really hard. You look at horses that do that. The 3 or 4 horses around them are getting beat 40 lengths.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they're nowhere.
In the
They're
early stages of
nowhere.
the race, right.
So, it was just a natural tie-in because, one, we wanted a Danzig line horse at WinStar, and 2, the tremendous respect we have for Hardspun, and he was the one. And there's been other ones, but this was the one that we zeroed in on.
I think it's interesting you talk about those parallels. There's so many to go through here about how they each match up to each other. They both won from, like Hardspun won from 6 furlongs, or Two Fills won from 6 furlongs up to 1 1/8 miles. Hardspun broke his maiden going 5.5 furlongs, won up to 1 1/8 miles. I think they each won at 5 different racetracks.
Yeah, that's it too.
They took their track with them wherever they were very consistent no matter where they ran at or what distance they ran at.
That shows, that is very hard in any athletic pursuit, but specifically with horses that can't communicate and tell you, I don't feel like running today or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to put it together every time, it takes a trainer who can see what is in front of them, but the horse has to be able to show up, and I put a lot of stock in that. And those intangibles that I do believe make a difference when you start looking at stallion prospects and who you want to breed to and then who you want to have in your racing stable.
Dan, just quickly, with a son of Hardspun like this, not a little bit later in his career, how important is that for the stallion to have consistent runners still as he's getting a little bit older?
Oh, it's huge. And I think, part of the legacy any stallion wants is to have sons at stud.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Hardspun luckily has 4 of them in Kentucky, and Two Fills has every right to be the one that can carry on the legacy.
I think he's got a big chance. I'm not going to say he's going to be Hardspun because Hardspun has a very decorated career.
But he's getting an opportunity, and he's earned it. And I think what he showed on the track, his running style and his consistency, you've got to pay attention.
Yeah.
And now it becomes just a matter of getting enough mares to let him prove it or not. And I think that's what WinStar does. And they're a very worthy competitor of in the stallion barn, and the way you run your shop and the way you do things is, it's impressive.
Well, we feel the same way. And really appreciate you being here. Good luck in the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks in 2025, and it's just great to have you here.
Dan, I want to thank you so much for your time, and thank you. We're going to continue on here a little bit, but we're going to let Dan go. Thank you for coming in to discuss Two Phils and Hard Spun this morning, and we are now going to talk to a few breeders who have bred to Two Phils in his first season to get their take on their foals and what their future plans might be with Two Phils. What's better than one Phil? Two Phils.
That was a keen turn of speed.
2 stakes wins at 2.
And it's Two Phils.
2 5.5 Ragozins.
And the son of Hard Spun.
2 105 buyers, including the Kentucky Derby.
And a passion run by Two Phils.
In the last 15 derbies, no horse has been faster.
This is a serious 3-year-old.
Two Phils. Welcome back to the December Roundtable, the WinStar Roundtable. We are pleased to be joined now by Richard Klein via Zoom, who is going to talk to us more about Two Phils. He bred a very exciting mare to Two Phils for 2024. Richard, thanks for your time. If you would, talk about the mare that you bred here this year in Break Even. She was a very, very fast horse on the racetrack. Two Phils himself a fast horse with back-to-back 105 buyers. Broke his maiden going 109-3 when he did so. What was the appeal to breed Break Even to Two Phils, getting that speed combination in there?
Well, we've bred a lot of our mares over the years to Hard Spun, and I just like the Roberto bloodline. And Hard Spun has Roberto bloodlines, and also Break Even has Roberto bloodlines. Break Even was a homebred. Like everything that we do breed, they're homebreds. It's by one of our stallions, Country Day, who was a very fast racehorse and
Yes, he was.
And produced Break Even, and Break Even also was a very fast horse. She won a grade, I guess it was a grade 2, the 8 bells on Oaks Day for us, and she won her first 6 races. And she was very versatile. She won both on the turf and the dirt.
But let me tell you what she means to Richard. When I called him to ask him to get on this Zoom, Richard, what's your voice? What's your voicemail?
It's the last 16th run of the 8 bells.
Oh, nice, nice.
The stretch run of the 8 bells. I mean,
That's dedication right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I knew we were there.
I mean, she was a special horse. I've never had a horse that started their career going 6 for 6, and she won at every different track. So she means a lot
really
to us.
filly.
So
Yeah.
you know, I'm a big fan of Two Phils. My daughter, who's an equine surgeon, Derby week was on the backside at the time, and she saw him train, and she really liked what she saw. And so I just followed Two Phils' career. I like the pedigree. I like everything I see. He was very versatile. He won sprinting. He won routing. He carried his speed routing. He won on the dirt, and he won on the synthetic. So there's nothing not to like about Two Phils. And I guess the main thing that was to my advantage, I like the price that we were able to get to, because, when you breed, you can breed a $100,000 stallion. You don't know what you're getting. You can breed to 10,000. You don't know what you're going to get. But I just like everything about Two Phils.
Beautiful.
Well, Richard, we want to thank you for your time. That's great information. We are excited to see the next foal out of Break Even, and best of luck with all those horses. Best of luck with all your runners as well. And thanks for joining us on the WinStar Roundtable to talk about Two Phils.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on. Looking forward to seeing what the foal looks like.
Well, Ellie, those are very exciting comments from Richard. You've got a very nice mare under Two Phils there. In fact, I think in his first crop, he had 159 mares to him, 53 mares who had performed or produced at the black type level. So another quality mare there for Two Phils.
Absolutely. And a rocket. I mean, and when I called him and I heard that voicemail, I said how close she is to his heart. So it's going to be really exciting to see that foal. We actually bred 9 mares to Two Phils ourselves, heavily supported him. Dama grade 3 winners. We bred 3 of those. Super excited to see what comes. I mean, that's the great thing about this time of year when you have young sires that are now getting started. You've put all the work in. You've figured out what hopefully works, and now you get to see what works. And then next year is about seeing the foals on the ground, delivering them to November in a way that lets other people see him. And so our team will be hard at work this spring to go out and see break-evens fall in a lot more.
He's been very well supported indeed, Elliott, by yourselves and by top-class breeders such as Richard Klein. And we're joined by another in Alistair Roden, who is representing MKW Racing and Breeding. They are fairly new players into the game, and they are now shareholders in Two Phils. And we welcome Alistair via Zoom. Alistair, would you talk about what led you to becoming a shareholder in Two Phils?
Well, I think the first thing that attracted me to the horse was he was extremely talented, and just the way he ran the Derby was just a phenomenal performance. And then when WinStar invited me out to have a look at him, it was just that sealed the deal. He's a beautiful horse. He's got great bone to him. He's got a great forearm. There's great balance to him. Great hip. And I thought for Pete Williams and his daughter Martha, they're new in the game. I thought he was an exciting horse for them to invest in. We're thrilled to death to be a part of him. We're breeding 2 more mares to him this year, and I've recommended some other clients breeding to him. And I loved the horse to start with when I saw him when he first went to start, and I saw him about a month ago, and I like him.
Oh, he looks incredible. It's unbelievable what he's done in a year.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Being a shareholder, talk about the future of the horse and what you're most excited about.
Well, the future of the horse, obviously the proof is in the pudding with all these horses. But like starting out, we got it all. We got the ability, the talent, which for me is a big thing. With a horse, it's not winning 5 or 6 grade ones. It's just sometimes how they do it and the talent they have, and the way he ran the Derby. He was just that hot pace. He was just tremendous talent.
Yeah,
and his numbers obviously are proof of that. Another thing we're kind of missing on here a little bit. He was very precocious.
Yes,
good 2-year-old, greatest stakes winner at 2. And started 5 times as a 2-year-old, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he's one of the leading freshman sires.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Alistair, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with all the horses with MKW Racing and Breeding, and thanks for being a shareholder in Two Phils.
Thank you, Alistair. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Elliott, this has been a fantastic roundtable. We heard from a lot of top people. We want to thank Dan Pride for coming on, Richard Klein, and Alistair as well for representing MKW Racing and Breeding to talk about Two Phils, his brilliance, his dominance. He was a 1/5 of a second off the track record at 3 when he won the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Those triple-digit buyers, the 105s that he paired, the 5 Ragozin. We heard it all morning about his brilliance and how exciting of a horse he was.
For me to have guys like Richard Klein, who's just a classic horseman, as far as just being in the business for 40 years. Alistair Roden started with my brother 40 years ago. Those are the guys, the heartbeat of the industry, and they're latching on to Two Phils. They're latching on to. You heard him say, "I saw him run."
Yeah, they followed him.
They followed him.
Yes,
and that's exciting for me because that's what connected us to him. Was his race record, his ability at 2, the fact that he was a graded stakes-winning 2-year-old, won a Colonial, won a Canterbury, won a Churchill, slop, dirt, long, and then comes back and sets like you said, a 5th off the track record at in Turfway and the Jeff Ruby, and then he put it all together in the Derby and the Ohio Derby to put together a very strong resume with the triple-digit buyers.
Yes.
With the Ragozins,
the complete
all
package
for 10,000.
Yeah, the complete package.
So
there.
You could see this horse. I could see this horse standing for 50 or 75 one day.
Yeah, he was a good 2-year-old, and he kept that form going to the age of 3 as well. He started 5 times as a 2-year-old. He broke his maiden going 109 and 3, and like we talked about with Dan, the great similarities between Two Phils and his sire Hardspun, who has just been a consistent sire from day one. Turning 21 next year, but he's still getting it done with top-class runners such as Two Phils. Great consistencies to a very good sire. Great similarities, I should say, to a very good sire.
Yeah, and, great team had him. Larry Ravelli, like I saw Larry Ravelli walk into the winner's circle at Turfway and the pride that he had. Larry had to manage a career with this horse.
Yeah.
And he did it very well. He did it by going to Colonial, going to Canterbury, letting him build himself up to a confidence
Really
level.
developed him to get to that Derby performance. that he had.
Absolutely. Larry's a tremendous horseman. And you know, I've found that with these stallion prospects, when they come from those kind of, you know, regional areas and not New York or California, sometimes those are the horses that really break through.
Yeah. Well, we're very excited about Two Phil's. Elliott, thank you for your time on this edition of the WinStar Roundtable, and we look forward to the exciting things to come from all the WinStar Stallions and Two Phil's especially.
Well, it's been fun, Jesse, and I can't wait to hear you start to sell Two Phil's in Saratoga.
That's right.
In 2026.
Yes, we're looking forward to it indeed. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the WinStar Roundtable.